What a brilliant banner. Short and sweet. Psych. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the weekly Armchair Sports Talk. And it's, of course, Steelchair Saturday. I said that, right? I said Steelchair Saturday.
Yeah. It used to be Shotgun Saturday, but I guess we've gone through rebranding. So Steelchair Saturday it is. Welcome, everyone. We're hoping to get through quite a lot today, obviously, in the hour that we will be with you. We will be talking all things WWE from the week. A lot to talk about with them. AEW, I've got a lot to talk about with them. And Ring of Honor, where Reece is going to take over because, once again, my wrestling fandom is about as basic as white unseeded bread. How you doing, Reece?
I'm glad you didn't say brown bread because I'm losing my distaste in brown bread at the minute because I tried a bit the other day and it really didn't taste nice on my sandwich.
Oh, I like brown bread. I really like brown seeded bread.
Yeah, I think the one I had was unseeded, so that's probably what.
Right, okay. Anyway, how are you?
I'm not too bad. It's been a mixed week, but you just got to go through things. I've been off this week from work, holiday, but I'm back on Monday, so I've just been powering through wrestling and just relaxing.
You'll have those conflicted feelings because on the one hand you've enjoyed the time off, and on the other you'll be like, "Oh, I really want to get back."
I really do want to get back to work, to be honest. It got me into like a more work-minded routine, but I've kind of been out of it lately. So
yeah, no, I get that.
I'm glad to be getting back to work next week. I really am.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I mean, March is quite busy for quite a busy period for work, so it'll be next month. I say my next break, but we are ready to work hard today and get through some of this, which is hard work, and some of it, which is easy work. Much like SmackDown at the moment, to be fair. Now, of course, I say that as someone who isn't actually watching it, but I watch the clips and they go by well, and it's the future of how we're going to consume our wrestling. I think the weekly TV show is going to not die, but it's certainly not going to be as popular. I mean, there's a reason that on YouTube you can basically watch the whole show in about 20 minutes and you'll see everything that you need to see. And it saves the actual wrestling matches for the pay-per-view as well. It's a bit more like UFC in that way, that they can build a match out of the ring and then have the match in the ring. And I really quite like it that way. Two major things. First off, my wrestling hero, my favorite wrestler of all time, Rey Mysterio, announced as a Hall of Fame inductee. Reece, we know it's well deserved, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at what he's achieved, obviously, we did a show quite a while ago. Funnily enough, when Rey Mysterio was involved, and we didn't take it out of context in a harsh way, but we did pretty much say his greatest moment is because of the untimely passing of another Hall of Fame inductee from 2006, and that was Eddie Guerrero. There's no disrespect to Rey Mysterio in that sense, but he would never have been world champion if it wasn't for the Guerrero passing, like in that context. But in terms of what else he's done, ECW, WCW, over in Japan, Lucha Libre, and WWE throughout, he still had that career that is Hall of Fame worthy, is deserving of being included. Even if he didn't win the WWE title, or if he didn't win the world title, he still would have been inducted anyway for his lasting legacy. And that legacy of being a masked man, although he was unmasked in WCW and he had to redeem himself, and eventually he did. He hasn't done that since, although he has been unmasked a few times off camera. You still don't see the face. We at least got the deserved inductee, and I'll be honest, I was quite surprised that it was Rey Mysterio, because as well, just before SmackDown went live, there was a tweet that came out saying the Great Muta was going into the Hall of Fame. Now, that sparked interest because I was thinking, is Great Muta going to be the first inductee in the WWE Hall of Fame, or is he going to be in the Japanese Hall of Fame? Turns out it's going to be Japan. So I'm like, okay, so who's going to be the first WWE inductee? Let's see. Well, what do they have? I mean, now there's more sentiment to the Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio match, where if he does lose, he should retire after losing at WrestleMania. I do think he is going to put Dominic over in the right manner. He doesn't need to win his last match. I don't think he will want to anyway.
Yeah, I'll have a question a lot about you, based on that.
I thought the first inductee, personally, I thought would have been Great Muta or Batista, not Rey Mysterio.
I was thinking Batista, or if they were going to get him, it would have been The Rock. I thought they would have played off the Hollywood thing. So it's nice for them to go more from.
Yeah, boy. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's nice for them to go for more sort of, the traditional thing you would expect, like when WrestleMania comes to Texas, you get a Texan as the first. So when it comes to California, you get a Californian as the first, and that's what they've done. Obviously, he's from San Diego, so it makes a lot of sense. He's not necessarily a movie star as it is, but he is an absolute legend, and it is very well deserved. The question I want to throw at you is concerning this and something that happened on Raw. Because something that happened on Raw was obviously the Austin Theory thing.
Yes.
Now, we'll dive into that more, but just in terms of the Rey Mysterio, we're obviously talking Rey Mysterio's having a match, John Cena's having a match, Stone Cold is rumoured to be having a match. I think, just thinking about Rey Mysterio and John Cena, I don't think they both lose.
You think one of them's going to win?
Yeah.
Why am I thinking in your head you're thinking John Cena wins?
I can't work it out. I can't work out which one wins. Well, both would actually be quite justified. John Cena could win.
Yeah.
And drop the belt on the Raw after to someone else. Or just give it up.
Yeah.
Put Austin Theory over in respect, despite beating him.
Possibly.
But Rey Mysterio could also just beat his son, because that's where the story should be heading. Like,
does it have to, though?
The comeuppance that Dominic Mysterio gets in this feud has to be major. He has looked strong almost every week. And the weeks where he's looked weak, there's been a Rhea Ripley or Damian Priest or Finn Balor to protect him from getting his ass kicked. So that's WrestleMania, we are surely paying for the ass kicking.
Yeah, that's true. I think the only thing, though, is I don't think either of those two need to win, though. I mean, I get your point, and I do see where you're coming from. Personally, for me, I think if Cena does win, then I would have him drop it on Raw, 100%. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Like, if Cena wins, he could easily drop it on Raw. I think Braun Breaker is going to make his debut on Raw. I think Braun Breaker wins the US title on Raw.
That would be something to do, yeah. Or maybe not even that. maybe John Cena could drop the US belt to. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a debutant. It could just be someone that, like, okay, pull the trigger. Chad Gable.
That would be a good shout.
There's
solo heel.
Yeah, there's people sat there that John Cena could win the belt and then just hand it over.
Big shout by Danny. Cena wins, probably holds on to the US title until Fast 10 is due to come out. When is Fast 10 out, actually?
Yeah,
Cena won't be around that long because he's.
That's what I'm thinking. They're very limited on their dates for John Cena. They're so limited on their dates for John Cena that last year they had to sort of shoehorn him in on the last episode of SmackDown for the year so that they could continue his streak of having a match.
Well, there was a tweet that came out from Wrestle Zone. Shout out to Wrestle Zone. They actually do good tweets sometimes. Actually, no, they actually do a lot, to be fair. They did say that Cena's actually got more dates confirmed. So I'm not sure if that's more TV dates or if it's events. But there is one other. Funnily enough, I'm in a wrestling group chat with Mallow. Shout out to Mallow, actually. There's May 19th it comes out. Oh, maybe you should get. Oh, then I've got
May 19th. Drop it to Ken.
Yes.
Easy.
Kane's retirement match. Kane comes back, wins the US
Yeah,
title.
Kane could win the US title off John Cena in the year 2023.
Yeah. But here's my way of thinking, right? And I said this last night, and I don't know what you... Actually, no, I did say this to you last night as well, funnily enough.
Mm-hmm.
After WrestleMania, the next event, funnily enough, is the first of many, and it's actually the first of 3 in a row international pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Backlash, Saudi for King and Queen of the Ring. Insulting, it should just be called King of the Ring. And you've got Money in the Bank. I said to you last night, Gunther should retain the Intercontinental title, but I would have Santos Escobar win it at Backlash in Puerto Rico. If Chad Gable was not to win the US title, I think I really do like Legado del Fantasma. They're a really good stable. But I actually would just have him split away from them, go to Raw and win the US title and be...
Wouldn't you have Damian Priest do it?
No.
Because they already decided Damian Priest with Bad Bunny. It could be the end of Judgment Day and how Damian Priest sort of gets out of that.
I'm not sure. I mean,
they could have Bad Bunny do it, which is a real possibility.
It's hard to say. It is hard to say, especially because the US title has been a lot better, like in the past couple of months. Like, it has been booked a lot better since the likes of Rollins and Theory have been more involved.
Well, yeah, it's funny that Seth Rollins gets a hold of something and all of a sudden it's all right.
Yeah, I just want to see where they go. Callum, good to see you, my man. You'll like him. He's an Arsenal fan. Surely Cena either loses or drops it on Raw. He's not going to be active enough to hold it long.
No.
Malo says you can build up a talent like Theory and then have him lose to Cena at WrestleMania when Cena's
But you can, and here's the reason you can. Because if we keep going off this nonsense that the older guy has to put over the younger guy, and I think I've said it on the show before, because it got sad with The Undertaker. It got sad with the people who like Goldberg. It's going to get sad if they keep bringing Stone Cold back and he starts losing. The more people you bring back, and you know, I don't want Triple H to have another match, but if he did, Shawn Michaels on NXT this week said people have been backing that truck up to his house for over a decade looking for their WrestleMania match, and Shawn Michaels has always been saying no.
Yeah.
If you keep bringing a legend back, it's the law of diminishing returns. And if you keep having that legend lose, you are soiling their legacy to build up someone who is nowhere near as good, nowhere near as popular, comes from a different time, and it doesn't actually matter. Austin Theory losing to John Cena does not ruin Austin Theory's career the same way that Dominic Mysterio losing to Rey Mysterio doesn't ruin Dominic Mysterio's career. But if both happen the other way, John Cena's now the guy who has come back and lost to The Undertaker. He's come back and lost to Roman Reigns. He comes back and loses, comes back and gets beaten up, comes back and loses, comes back and gets beaten up. And we're just slowly diminishing that mess.
He's been getting cooked this week.
Yeah. We're slowly diminishing it to the point where it's going to be a mess, because Austin Theory is going to be the guy who can't beat Seth Rollins but at the same time beat John Cena, or who can't beat whoever takes the US title off him but at the same time can beat John Cena, and it just makes John Cena look worse.
You know,
Undertaker went from unbeatable, lost to Brock Lesnar, then they fed him to Roman Reigns, and then they thankfully stopped. If they kept that going and they just kept using Undertaker's record would have went from 21-1 when the streak was broken. It could have been like 23-8.
Yeah, we can't have that.
All of a sudden, it loses its mystique completely.
Here's another thing, right? And Yeti Boy's actually iterated to another company, actually, fun enough. And this is actually a really interesting tailspin. You mentioned about legends losing. And I know one of them has been a bit of a disappointment to you lately. But when you look at legends losing to now legends actually winning, to counteract your point, Chris Jericho has been winning far too many feuds, and he is a legend. But when you look at it,
yes, but Chris Jericho's doing it where it doesn't matter, with talent that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And we'll come on to AEW and discuss him whatever the heck that was. Not for too long, don't worry, guys. But AEW proved with Revolution that they will always be the biggest independent promotion, and they will not be a big time player. and I'll leave that there for now. We'll come back to it. The point is, you can't always have the younger guy go over the older guy. Sometimes the older guy has to win, because otherwise you just make the older guy worse and worse and worse over time. And it even works with younger talent, because we were going to have the Fiend come back and do more. We're going to have the Fiend come back and do more. So the Fiend isn't suddenly just this guy who, you know, got destroyed in the Hell in a Cell against Seth Rollins. He's also the guy that lost to Goldberg. He's also the guy that can be undone by Alexa Bliss. He's also the guy that's been set on fire and subsequently beaten by Randy Orton. And all of a sudden that mystique drops and drops and drops until you're just one of the crowd. And you can sometimes win and you can sometimes lose. Your character will get you over.
Yes.
So I don't think that's the issue.
And I think the one thing that, to a degree, I got wrong, but I'm actually glad I got wrong, was the golden shovel towards Austin Theory with the Money in the Bank.
Oh, we got it wrong.
And we're glad that we got it wrong, by the way.
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
glad we got it wrong, because we have since day one, even though we got that wrong, me and Eilidh have rated Theory since day one. We were just wrong, but we were happy we were wrong. That's the only time we'll be proud to be wrong. But,
one of the few.
Yeah, I'll never be proud for anything else. When it comes to Theory, though, the one thing that he did right was binning the whole selfish shit. He done all that, and he's became more of an aggressive worker. And I actually like the fact that on Raw for that promo, he got shut down for the right reasons. Like he got shut down saying you're just a generic, you're just like a generic creation and like etc. And I actually like that, because when you look at his attire and when you look at him, it's there's a lot of color and there's a lot of design, but it's very basic. He looks like he has that basic look, and he is a shorter haired, more muscular, better on the mic and better worker than Madcap Moss. But when you look at it, they are exactly the same, and I think that's what, in a way, like they are exactly. Don't worry, they're exactly the same in sense of that generic creation. But Theory's ahead because Theory at least has that character beside him that's at least coming.
So what you're saying is Austin Theory's Randy Orton.
No.
And Madcap Moss is Mr. Kennedy.
When you put it like that, then I will grant that. Except
two generic creations. One of them's been sort of groomed to being a major player, and the other one's been sort of left to do his own thing. And maybe we'll see Madcap do more. Obviously, he recently had an IC title match that didn't really matter.
Is it also a shame that Madcap Moss is also like Mr. Kennedy when he injured a top star?
Yeah. You could probably keep drawing the parallels, but I mean, John Cena was on Raw, and it felt like John Cena was on Raw because his promo was fantastic. I love the way that he stood there after Theory made the challenge. I love that he stood there and went, "No." Took a minute, thought it over. No, it's fantastic. And John Cena is so consistent with the whole "I will do what the fans want."
Yeah,
it's always made complete sense. I love that he said, "I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for them. I can't let them down." And once again, it's John Cena's kryptonite. I think the one time that the fans didn't really matter for John Cena was when he came back to challenge Roman Reigns. Because that was all about that was about like the 1, 2, 3, and you're the statistic. Yeah. You become the answer to who did John Cena beat for his 17th world title. You know, fantastic stuff. But WrestleMania card's taking shape. We got obviously Dominic and Rey will do what they do, and whether anyone else is involved, obviously Judgment Day have crossed paths with several people. But we've definitely got Austin Theory versus John Cena. We're going the way of Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
We obviously know our main event. The women's title matches are sorted.
They are.
And Bobby Lashley's going to fight Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I like that you left out one.
I
was going to say, you were doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
You were doing so well, and then you had to mention it. I have a question for you, because this was mentioned by Billy to me earlier on. When it comes to the WrestleMania feuds, and this is to everyone in the live chat as well, give me your answers to this as well. Are you happy with the fact that they're doing such a slow build-up, or do you want at least one of these feuds to at least have a trigger pulled and they do a little bit more spark?
I like the feuds to be realistic. I think any sort of 0 to 100 booking, and you go AEW, where people have
not entirely
no
0 to
problem.
100, but like say like for example, like there's still WrestleMania is now 21 days away.
Mm-hmm.
Rey Mysterio is still yet to do anything to dominate Mysterio. The question
That's
is
fine. That's character consistency. Ray
No, I
doesn't
like
want
it.
to hit Dominic. I think Dominic Mysterio is going to have to do something absolutely horrible before Rey Mysterio agrees to the match. I don't know what that horrible thing is.
Hits Angie.
Maybe Rhea Ripley abducts Ray's daughter.
No, he hits Angie. I reckon he just
Yeah.
whacks his mum in
Should
the face.
happen. I mean, do you think they would do that?
Yeah.
I
This is
think at least
WWE.
if Rhea did the abduction, at least that's something. But again, Rhea's got to build her own feud, and she just shouldn't be in there. She should have just left when she won the Rumble. But no, it's fine.
You do need a mix. I do get that. Like, you do need a mix.
You do need a mix. You absolutely do. But right now,
like
the
what they're
stories that they're telling pretty much all make sense. And think about the feuds that we've had out of nowhere. Bobby Lashley and Bray Wyatt was a feud that wasn't happening up until, after Elimination Chamber. And anyone tell me that you're actually excited for Bobby Lashley versus Bray Wyatt?
No.
Brock Lesnar and Omos wasn't happening till after Elimination Chamber. Tell me you're excited for that. No. The ones you're excited for are Logan Paul and Seth from the Rumble.
Yep.
They are Dominic and Ray, which is still speculated, but that's been going on since Judgment Day took Dominic, so since the turn at Clash. And before that, to be fair, because they'd taken him before he turned. SummerSlam?
For which one? Sorry?
For Dominic being taken by Judgment Day. Was it after SummerSlam?
After SummerSlam, yeah, and then he turned at Clash.
He turned at Clash, but when they started abducting him, when Rhea Ripley became a meme, that GIF was going about, everything like that.
Yeah,
and the Bloodline stuff.
The night after, yeah.
The Bloodline stuff. With Roman Reigns has held the belts for 3 years just about, and Sami Zayn was involved for 9 months, and Cody won the Rumble.
Yes.
We care about the longer term stories. We don't really care about the shorter builds.
Yeah.
I get that you want the trigger to be pulled on one of these feuds, but it has to be measured. I don't want Cody and Roman to start doing the Brock and Roman stuff where the security guards need to pull them away, because that's not the story. The story here is that Roman can overpower Cody. Cody's got to have more guts than Roman Reigns.
I was actually implying, like, I'm expecting Ray to hit Dominic the SmackDown before WrestleMania, and then it gets confirmed. The one feud I actually want him to pull the trigger on, just a little bit more, is actually Asuka versus Bianca. Because in recent weeks, all we've had on Twitter, and it's been bloody gold, is Asuka trolling Chelsea Blue. And it's been absolutely funny. And I say that Chelsea Blue loosely. I would pull at least a trigger on them, because that's like they're trying to almost divert the attention from the Raw Women's title main event to Asuka spraying the mist and then Chelsea being an internet sensational troll. Like, I don't think that, like, as much as that is really entertaining, that's not the one that really, that should be where the attention is.
Yeah, I don't know. It gets me because obviously Asuka won, but it seems like they've kind of forgotten that Bianca and Asuka were partners at Clash.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like they just forgot that bit.
It's ridiculous. Good call by Malo there. I'm pretty happy with the build. I think there's some feuds like Sami versus Uso. Got quite a bit of heat to it, while others being built around Solo is a good balance.
Exactly. Sami and KO versus the Usos is probably your chaos feud. Like, something's happening every week.
Oh, yeah. It's Oscar-winning material. I have to give them credit for it. I can't wait for Lesnar versus Omos, says Yeti Boy. Malo, I reckon Ray's family will get involved sometime soon. They have to. Billy, the quiz loser. Just kidding. Good to see you, mate. Afternoon, both. Roman retains, Reece cries. Not really, because
Well,
if he
Dom
did
attack
retain,
Ray at the Hall of Fame, and that's how the match is set up. If it
yeah,
does happen that way,
that's
Ray
crazy.
has to win.
Yeah, because that's literally, you cannot have.
That would be destroying something sacred for a match. So
Yes.
Ray would have to win.
What if this happens?
I feel like Ray has to win anyway. He's had Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Valentine's Day taken from him.
True.
I feel like he has to win.
I know. I've got something on the back of this that you might actually like.
Okay.
If Roman does retain, then he is like, this is not the bit you're gonna like. If Roman does retain, I won't cry, right? At least I won't see him at Money in the Bank, so I'll be smiling. If Roman does retain, then he will lose. He will lose it bang on 1,000 days. He will lose it bang on 1K. Malo, I do agree with this. Asuka versus Bianca Belair is non-existent. I completely agree.
I think they're relying on the talent of the two women in the match to speak for itself. But also, I don't think they can work out how those two can start hating each other. And it's like, well, don't have them hate each other then. Do like a I'm better than you sort of feud, you know? Yeah. So maybe Bianca Belair wins a 2-on-1 handicap one week. So Asuka wins a 3-on-1 handicap the next week. Yeah. Maybe Bianca Belair beats 3 opponents in a row in a gauntlet. So Asuka says she'll do 4. Bianca comes out teasing that she's the 4th opponent in the gauntlet. So the 4th opponent in the gauntlet actually beats Asuka because she's distracted by Bianca.
Yeah. And
you know,
so
have a bit of underhand tactics to it. Who's heel? Who's face? What we doing? Not just, oh, these two women have so much respect for each other and it's going to be such a great match. Yeah, that's great. Make me care. Make me care more than this is going to be a good match. Put some heat in it. When Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks had a feud, there was actually something to it.
Yes.
There was this same, I think it was the same sort of vibe they were going for. Sasha was like, well, I'm better. You know I am.
It was the same with Bayley.
The whole point was Bianca Belair like, no, you're not. Even Bayley, you know, and it's supposed damage control to that way. But yeah.
I was referring to Bianca versus Bayley on SmackDown. It was always about who's better, and then Bianca done like those mad sporting trials that showed actually no, she is better.
Yeah, but you could do it in a more wrestling sense because it's Asuka.
Yes. And that's the key. That's the key.
Billy's only thing I can think of as to why Ray's going into the Hall of Fame. I mean, Ray's going into the Hall of Fame. I felt it was going to happen when he was the guy on the game. That tends to be a rule. I mean, we'll find out because John Cena's on the new game. So we'll find out if,
match
next year or two, John Cena's going in. We know he won't be going in this year because I don't think they do Rey Mysterio and John Cena in the same class.
No, because then Cena would have beaten Rey again.
Exactly. Yeah, an hour after it was announced as well, probably.
Yeah. What I was actually going to say, and this is what I was going to like. Billy mentioned there about will Dom attack Rey at the Hall of Fame. I know this might sound cruel, but I would honestly have Rey Mysterio at the point where he's mentioning Eddie Guerrero's affecting his career, and then Dominic comes out and just hits him there. Literally, as he's mentioning Eddie Guerrero, the impact had in his career, and then boom.
Perhaps. I mean, I said by the time Mania rolls around, he'll be Dominic Guerrero.
And he pretty much is on that way of thinking now.
Yeah, so we'll find out if he gets announced as that. We'll find out, but yeah, interesting stuff. As I say, I can't actually see Rey losing to Dominic. Unless something absolutely horrible is going to happen to Dominic after. Because otherwise, Dominic's just right. Like, and everything Dominic has done will be justified because he did finally beat his dad. Whereas, I feel like this is almost keep poking the bear. You know? And the only other way I could sort of get out of it is if Rey has a stand-in and it is Santos. But that doesn't mean nearly as much.
Doesn't.
You know, and then even then, Santos would have to win. Otherwise, the guy that Rey trusted to carry the legacy forward, based on that thing in SmackDown, he's like, well, my own son's turned my back, so I've got this adopted son.
I think so.
I would
I
think
think he's
so.
done. I think he's
I would
done.
think so.
After
I
this
mean,
now.
I heard rumors that he's not even signed a new deal. So maybe he's not done, but maybe he's done there.
Him and Edge are done this year.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
both done. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, Edge, obviously, I'm talking about WrestleMania, Edge and Finn Balor. That's obviously coming up as well. It'll be a good match. I'm sick of the Judgment Day stuff.
I want this feud to end in a brutal way and just end brutally at WrestleMania. Put them both in a Hell in a Cell and just get over and done with. Just get over
Tag
and
team
done
Hell in a
with.
Cell. Fine with that.
Yeah, 100%. Something needs to happen because it's beyond it's at that point now where we literally were enjoying the Judgment Day. Now we're like, I'm sick and tired of it.
I think I said about Royal Rumble, I was like, this has to be the end of Judgment Day. Just stop it. And then Elimination Chamber rolled around. It's like, this has to be the end of the Judgment Day now. Where we get Demon Balor, if he's winning.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we'll get him if he's losing. At the same time, they have had the demon beaten by God. So is Edge religious? Do we know?
I don't think so.
What if Judgment Day? I mean, it's probably not going to happen. But what if Judgment Day, like all three of them, came to jump Edge, and then FTR came out?
That's a good what if, considering the fact that they're not going to do it. But
No, definitely not now. Thanks to their appearance.
Your hope is gone. Ray could win here and do some stuff with Legado. Not a bad shout. And then they could build a story around Dominic wanting to get a win back, leading to a retirement match in next year's Mania where Dom goes over.
Yeah. Dom should go over in respect. He shouldn't go over the first time. He needs to learn some maturity. And he needs to be humbled.
Does it have to be next year's Mania, though? Why not just follow up with this goes to SummerSlam? Why does it have to be another full year? I don't think
modern day WWE booking, you put everything on at WrestleMania. And I much prefer that than the company that we're about to talk about. Because I watched Revolution. Did you? Did you take in Revolution? I know you did, but
you know I watched Revolution.
Indulge me for a moment here.
One moment. I have to give you.
Don't worry. We're not going to spend too long on the Mud Show, people. Don't worry. We will get back to talking about wrestling soon. This pay-per-view was one of the worst ones that AEW have ever put on. It had the worst wrestling match that I've ever. I don't even want to call it a wrestling match. The worst excuse for a contest I have ever seen within the vague context of wrestling.
I'm doing this for you.
It had this Texas deathmatch thing. And for everyone, including Reece, who's told me that Jon Moxley is as good as Gunther,
oh, come on.
Watch that match again. Watch that match again. If you can. Don't have any food in front of you. You'll barely be able to drink. You know, this match is sickening. It is disgusting. They use forks. They use barbed wire. I'm surprised they didn't go straight to light tubes. They used bricks. You're the first person I've heard that's called Revolution bad. Good. Glad to be going against the grain, because I will say what I think, whether I'm the first or the millionth who thinks it. This show was terrible. This match was terrible. And a lot of people are going, well, it's a good show because of the main event. Why would I want to see a main event? Why would I want to see any other match after I've just watched two people do everything in their power to kill each other and fail to do it? I'm surprised Hangman Page didn't come out with a gun in his holster. Just, why doesn't he do that next time? That's what he should do. This was a joke of a match. And they want people to pay money for this. And people think AEW are on the same level as WWE. But AEW are still doing matches like this. And AEW still have people bleeding in just about every match. Or, Jon Moxley will bleed in every match, don't worry. But both these guys were always going to bleed because they're absolute idiots. Both of them. I've had enough of Hangman Page. Everything good I ever said about him. No, gone. I thought he was better than that. I thought he was better than to reduce himself to Nick Gage, to Sami Callihan, to John Moxley. You know, John Moxley's pretty much at the bottom of that list now. Hangman Page has ruined his career in my eyes by doing this. Because why would I care anymore? You're on the exact same level as the idiots. And this was an idiotic match. And Tony Khan should look himself in the mirror and hand over the controls to someone else. Because until AEW can actually take control of what their wrestlers are going to do, WWE will be the biggest and only game in town. Because mainstream will not put up with that. No one wants mainstream appeal to stabbing each other with forks, wrapping each other in barbed wire, choking each other with a logging chain.
That was creepy, to be fair.
You know, especially like what, a year from the pay-per-view where CM Punk choked MJF that way?
Yeah,
the dog collar
match. Yeah,
so it's not even an original finish. I couldn't watch anymore. I watched it. I couldn't watch the main event because their shows are too long with too much going on in them. I watched the rest of the card and was just like, I don't know. And I get it. I get they're the alternative, okay? But can the alternative have class? Can the alternative have decency? Does the alternative have to be that? Or can we get the alternative where, you know, like 205 Live was meant to be an alternative view of things? Or like Black and Gold NXT was the alternative to main roster WWE? Main roster WWE would be so sanitized and clean, and I agree it's got problems. And we talk about the problems, Reece, we do.
Oh, yes.
But AEW's problems are indie-rific. Disgusting.
True.
I don't want to watch that.
True.
And I won't be paying any more money in the near future to watch any more of it.
And that is an ongoing problem. We have discussed this, and I don't like.
You can come back now. I'm
coming back. I'm just want to do this first. I'm just going to do one thing. That's what you call annihilation. I'm just doing that. When you think about it, and the one thing that we've consistently said on this show, and I'm getting in my head now, I think you will eventually say it. At the moment, none of us have ever said the words "we hate AEW." None of us have said that, but I am getting to that suspicion now that you are at the point now where you are genuinely hating it, and I can tell that really is annoying you, considering the talent they've got, likable wrestlers that you actually like. Now you've got this.
Yeah.
Because I bet you weren't even remotely bothered that Wardlow lost to Hobbs as well because of the QT mark.
I went and took the bins out, Reece.
Yeah, that's my thing. That's my suspicion is you can have an alternative. This is what I think people grasp and don't grasp. And this is the thing. It really does depend on perspective. You can have an alternative, but it has to be appealing in the right way. You said indie horrific specifically. Some of the spots in there are what indie wrestlers do, over the top shit, and it's severely damaging to themselves.
Yeah, in a barn in front of 50 people as well, not on international pay-per-view.
Yeah, but when you're at this sense though, for me, the real alternative isn't AEW. The real alternative is the likes of Noah and New Japan Pro Wrestling.
New Japan is that, yeah, what you don't have is an American alternative.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get it. Just don't watch it if you don't like it. But we also need to be demanding better. How can we go from either a handshake or a bloodbath? Is there not something in the middle? Because there was something in the middle. It was called NXT Black and Gold. There were some brutal matches on NXT Black and Gold. You know, I always hark back to a spot. Damian Priest hit the razor's edge onto the steps on Finn Balor.
Mm-hmm.
That is a brutal move, but it is completely fine and justified and in a wrestling context. That's the thing. It's context.
They've taken...
Those two, who I don't even want to name, weren't trying to win a wrestling match, because that's not how you do it. And it wasn't a Texas death match. It seemed to be, we'll keep fighting until we get to the spot that's over.
It also got, just to let you know, it was one of 2 matches that got 5 stars on the pay-per-view.
You are
Dave
kidding.
Meltzer.
You
Dave
are
Meltzer,
taking the
no.
proverbial.
Dave Meltzer gave it a 5-star. He gave Ricky Starks versus Jericho 4 stars. The women's match got 3 stars. MJF versus Daniel Bryan is officially Bryan Danielson's highest ever rated match, 5.75 stars. The Ironman match.
Reece, you might have to look for a new co-host because I might have to go and check in somewhere.
What do you think of that?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, okay? It doesn't. Right, that's like saying that a movie isn't a real movie because the most iconic spot is the villain's thrown off a cliff. Yes, accidents can happen, but he threw him through a table, threw him off the cage. One of them wasn't even planned, the one where he went through the ring.
Yeah, that was complete
The
accident.
one off it was planned. It was probably discussed. And when he came back up from the table, was he cut?
No.
Because you don't get cut from falling on a table. It's the blood that's the problem. That's why I would rather take a 20, 30-foot drop through a table than allow some freak to stab my head with a fork. It's a different type of pain.
I think the only time you could realistically say WWE was like indie scene was when Edge speared Mick Foley through a flaming table. That's indie.
Yeah, and it was Mick Foley, people. We're talking Mick Foley. He's earned his stripes, and it was a different time. The Attitude Era was a different time. Don't compare things from now to things back then.
I think there is one thing, though, that AEW does actually have, right? And I think I will say this in that sense, and this is something I will give them props for, but it's more or less, can they exploit it more? They have good storytellers, clear as obvious, and they actually have very good workers to have a very good blend. They do have that blend. They don't have to recreate mid-90s ECW every single week. They can do it at a pay-per-view, like Blood and Guts. It makes sense to do it at Blood and Guts because it's
but they want to because their idea that all of wrestling is valid means that there's a designated slot for everything.
It's not even
so
realistic.
We need the multi-man chaos. We need the 6-man ladder match through the week. We need the death match. We need the women's match. We need the heavy match. We need the tag match. We need the trios match. Tony Khan doesn't write stories. Tony Khan fills in holes in a match sheet and goes, I'll have him do the death match this week, and I'll have her do the women's title match this week, and they don't really build feuds. I said it on the Revolution preview. There weren't feuds going in. They just sort of appeared. There were feuds that were picked up from the past, or there were feuds that were horribly botched, including the main event, because I will not have that it's a good feud. I will not.
And
Rubbish.
It is the highest rated match of both men's career to date.
Yeah, match and feud are different. The feud was awful. They shouldn't know.
I'm going to bring this comment up actually because Yeti Boy's made a fair comment. If you think about it, what I said last week, I said my exact words last week on last week's show about death matches. They don't do death matches like they used to. This match is not even called a death match anymore. I called it the Moxley special because that's what it is. And I'm going to say this in the nicest way. See, when you want to look at a death match, I actually have a better comparison. Deonna Purrazzo versus Mickie James in Impact Wrestling's Texas Death Match from last year is actually better than Moxley versus Hangman. Because they actually look like they want to kill each other.
Okay. No, I don't think... Yeah. Yeti Boy's right. They shouldn't get rid of them just because some people don't like them.
It's a great match type. It's just... It's not what it used to be. It's hard to book a death match like it used to.
They shouldn't get rid of them. They should put them in the place where those people can enjoy that. And I know you're like, oh, you're marginalizing, you're gatekeeping. No, I'm not. I'm separating wrestling from not wrestling. Okay, I'll tell you what, Reece. On WrestleMania, what we're going to do in the year 2023, so don't come at me with like ruthless aggression stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to bring 8 women out who aren't on the card, and they're going to have a Playboy pillow fight this year. Some people like the Playboy pillow fight.
I hated it.
Exactly. We got rid of it for a reason. And we're getting rid of death matches for a reason. They're classless and talentless.
It's you know the worst thing is though? It's actually hard to book it's hard to book a realistic death match these days. It's also hard. It's also why WWE doesn't do a Buried Alive match or a casket match.
Well, of course, it's hard to book a realistic death match because we've been told over and over and over and over and over again that this stuff doesn't really hurt.
No, not realistic when they actually get killed. Not the realistic sense where they get killed, but in terms of like realistic where you actually see the point where, when you look at Moxley in that match, a lot of the spots he was taking, like high impact stuff, right? He was getting up very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Hangman. In a realistic sense, if it's a death match, I want to see more struggle. I want to see
I'm going to grab a brick and hit you in the head with it, and I'll count to 7. And if you're not back on your feet,
I would expect if they're getting up to be at least 9.5.
You shouldn't get up from getting hit in the head with a brick. It's ridiculous.
No, I know. I'm saying, but if they're doing it in that sense where it's not the finishing blow, 9.5, not 7, that's far too quick. Yeah. But it should be the killer blow, like that, like off a brick. It's a brick for a reason.
Yeah, the cinder block. Concrete. The cinder block was so protected in WWE. Like the whole point using a brick, a cinder block. Like, oh my word, it's gone that far. With the death match, it's like, we're at the glass spot now. Hang on, we're going to the barbed wire spot now.
Yeah.
Well, they're still getting up. And until AEW can drop that mindset, I won't be watching.
I don't know if they'll ever be able to drop it. That's the question.
I guess I'll follow along through podcasts and what's happening then, because they're not getting any more of my business.
I think the only thing that they can. This is another thing as well, and like I said, I don't completely hate them. I just hate some direction. Spot on by Danny, to be fair. Novelty.
Yes, exactly. Gimmick match. But
you don't always need a gimmick match. A solid normal match is effective.
Reece, if they had a last man standing, I would have been fine. If they had a last man standing and it ended with a spot off the ramp, through a table, because they love their tables, you know, Hangman's hit the Deadeye off the apron through a table before.
Yes.
So he could hit it off the ramp, and that could be it. Or a false count anywhere. It's fine.
Absolutely.
Death match means John Moxley, his eyes light up. He's like, blood. I can make you bleed. I can make me bleed. I can make the crowd bleed. I'll make Renee bleed. You know, like it's just ridiculous. It goes so far.
Or an MGS case, I can take a cup of vodka and chuck it on a child.
I'd have definitely sued if I was that parent.
The parent gave him the cup. That's the funny thing. So
no, I'd have sued for putting the John Moxley and Hangman Page match on at a wrestling event.
Ouch! But I'm gonna ask you this one question, right?
Okay. Bear in mind you want to get to Ring of Honor next, so
I do. So this is a question for everyone else in the live chat as well. There is 7 people watching, so do hit that like, share, and subscribe button. So we really do appreciate it. And FYI, the quiz is next week as well. So have some pain whilst we laugh. And also, if you're a rugby fan, I think I saw England are getting beat.
That's good, even if you're not a rugby fan.
They're losing 17-0. The update there, the question I was going to ask is, oh, never mind, they scored a penalty. Bastards. the question is, for AEW to generally turn it around, we mentioned months ago that they brought in a very smart option in Jeff Jarrett. He hasn't been in that role. He's actually been in ring work. He's now got a title match in Winnipeg, which, by the way, I think I will give him this. I actually think the trios match is going to be the only thing I'm looking forward to. But in terms of this, to escape from the novelty, I'm actually going to use the word novelty because Danny's used it eloquently. What exactly can they do now?
Write better stories, book better talent, drop the deathmatch stuff entirely by dropping the people who have that. Tell John Moxley he's got to clean up his act or get out. John Moxley's not the greatest wrestler of all time. He's not the greatest wrestler right now. He's not the greatest wrestler in AEW. He's not the greatest wrestler called John currently around. He's average. Bang, average. Get rid of him. If he's not going to clean his act up, away he goes. Anyone else who wants to do that, Eddie Kingston, etc., fine. Send them to CZW in a taxi. Do it. And get the talent over that needs to be gotten over. Ricky Starks, Will Hobbs, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, if he'll shut his mouth, Takeshita. They've got a lot there.
Absolutely. And if you want to take a good example at getting someone back to the top after having a long run out who's worked well, just look at Rio. Brilliant turnaround on Rampage. She hasn't been on Dynamite in a long time. She's just on Rampage, but she's working solid matches.
Yeah,
and it's actually
absolutely
good work. It's actually good working matches. We are going to move on though.
Yeah, before I get more annoyed at Tony Khan, you're gonna take the reins and see if I've got something to smile about with him.
Don't worry, I'm not got anything bad in that sense. But what I'm going to bring up
I'm actually
is
shaking. I'm so annoyed.
get yourself. I was going to say have a drink.
Oh.
Ring of Honor obviously is now 2 episodes in. You can watch it online at Ring of Honor TV, or you can watch it as I do. Watch Wrestling. I watch on WatchWrestling.com because that's where I can go back and forth between Impact and.
Beef.
Shut up. I go between Impact, Ring of Honor, and also I watch the AEW Revolution on there as well. That's where I watch my pay-per-views. Although I do actually have TBS on my TV, by the way. I do watch TBS on the telly. So I watched the side-by-side bloody adverts, which are always a bit of fun on TBS. Ring of Honor, obviously, is going further. Actually, sentiment to Ring of Honor, obviously, it was announced on Rampage. Last thing on AEW falls into Ring of Honor is, yes, it is, yeah, boy, Watch Wrestling is the best website, 100%. And Danny, I'll bring up your comment in just a minute, buddy. I really like it. Obviously, the last remaining member of the Briscoe Brothers tag team, Mark, obviously came out on Rampage and announced that there will be a ladder match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles at Supercard. Lucha Brothers are the first team to be confirmed for the tag titles. We're expected that the Kingdom are going to be involved. Aussie Open are expected to be involved, which I think is I would actually personally, I wouldn't have multiple men tag teams. I would rather all out. I would put Lucha Brothers versus Aussie Open. But there's also the option. There's also the possibility that you might have the newest Ring of Honor tag team of Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal, which is I actually like that balance there. They could be involved. But the fact is, the way it's going is at Supercard of Honor, it is a ladder match for the tag titles. That was announced on Rampage last night. And
are the Kingdom not involved?
Pardon?
Are the Kingdom not involved?
They are expected to be involved, but they weren't named. The first and only team so far is Pentagon Jr. and Ray Phoenix.
Waste. Oh.
I know. Who would you have to win that though? If all of them are involved, I mean, I personally want the Lucha Brothers to win. So then,
if all of them are involved, then I can't just say the Kingdom win it anyway.
Oh yeah, I mean the Kingdom are great. I like the Kingdom.
Yeah. I'd have Kingdom in it and have Kingdom win it because Tony Khan signed the Kingdom and has made them disappear.
Absolutely. Just going to bring up these two comments before we bounce on to Ring of Honor, but they are good comments. AEW to get better equals stop relying on stuff. What happened in an era with WWE, what was done so beautifully, stop creating your own damn thing. Perfect. Malo, AEW has all the tools to put on a great wrestling product. They do. There's a lot of great workers there, but unless they are stop catering to their cult-like fan base who thinks their product is perfect, they're not going to reach their potential. Fair. And Yeti Boy, eloquently, I want Aussie Open to win, then feud with Lucha Brothers, so then we can get Death Triangle versus United Empire. I'm not going to argue on that.
That seems to be a way for you to go. Yeah,
I like it. United Empire are awesome. Like, I really like them.
No, absolutely. No, that works.
Speaking of Ring of Honor, so we'll have about we'll be here for about another 5-10 minutes. We've went 55 minutes, so we'll go an hour and 5.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how much we got to say about Ring of Honor. On you go.
Yeah. So 2 episodes in, we've had Claudio Castagnoli defending the world title in the opening week. We've had Athena having a brilliant main event title match versus Willow. Very underrated talent, although Willow took a spray-painted L on Dynamite, which I will never get over, like in my head. And then also you've got Wheeler Yuta working his magic as well. There's some good champions there, as well as some great talent. Obviously, Bryan and Christopher Daniels. Matt Seidel's involved. The Kingdom are there, fully embedded as they were as before. Mia Kanellis claiming she's the first lady of pro wrestling, although technically she's the second because Miss Elizabeth existed first. And then you've got the sheer pinnacle that is Samoa Joe, who's now 332 days as Ring of Honor TV champion. I like the reign. I like the fact that it's going. It will have to end eventually. The fact is, though, his next challenger is actually Briscoe.
Ooh.
Would you, and this is my question to everybody, would you have Briscoe take the title off Samoa Joe? Or is there some better place to do it? Because the only other one I was thinking of is Wheeler Yuta after the pure championship. I don't know.
I guess. If you were going to put the belt on him, you would have done it sooner, no?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would have struck while the iron was hot. Not once the iron's cooled down and you do a final burial match on the same card as on the pre-show you had Mark Briscoe.
Which was very insensitive, as we agreed upon.
Yeah. You would strike when it was hotter than that. You wouldn't do it right away because people would see right through it. You'd have the Rey Mysterio thing again, funnily enough. But
yeah,
I'm not saying people don't care about it anymore, but I'm saying the fact that Mark Briscoe was put on a pre-show
and then the match opener
show what they think about his actual ceiling as a single.
I know.
It would be a nice moment. Is there someone better placed? Well, you don't know. You don't know who's actually on Ring of Honor. You know? Are they having Eddie Kingston come across to do it? He's
been on there as well, yeah.
So is Eddie Kingston the guy that they'll place to beat Samoa Joe?
No, I think he's going to take on. I think he's got Claudio at Supercard for the world title. I'll actually get you exactly what we've got confirmed so far because Supercard of Honor is actually in a couple of weeks. As well,
is it?
So, yeah, it's WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, that's a lot.
Supercard of Honor. I'm gonna get all up for everybody, so we've got it here. So, it's crazy as well. It's the 15th show. It's mentally. It is at the Gallon Centre, obviously the former Staples Centre. That's where it's being held. Just to let you know. I'll give you all the current matches so far. The only one that's actually been confirmed is Lucha Brothers reach for the Sky Ladder match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. That's been confirmed, but just like last year's match, for example, was crazy. I mean, like last year's match was the Dog Collar Tag Team match, FTR versus the Briscoes.
Mm-hmm.
That was last year. Like how far a year has come. But when you do look at Ring of Honor, though, they are stacked. I'm actually going to give you the roster right now. Actually, you're going to like this.
We'll see.
Well, I think you'll like most of it. To be fair, I do like what they've got. So, Castagnoli is in his second reign as world champion. He's held it for 91 days currently. Samoa Joe, obviously, this is his first reign as world television champion. He's been champion since the day after my 25th birthday. So he will be a full champion April 13th, a day after I turn 26. Jesus Christ. Suzuki is there as well. Ring of Honor Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta, also 91 days, second reign.
Right.
You've also got the 6-man tag team championships, which is the Embassy, 91 days, first reign. Athena has also been women's champion, 91 days.
Yep.
So that's your champions. But then you've also got the likes of there's Australian team there as well. I'm just trying to get their name, but it's not giving me the bloody give me the roster, you cunts.
I think it's safe to say that Ring of Honor, they do have some talent, but I mean, time will tell if they have the right person in charge of it.
Yeah. Here we go. This is the roster. Athena, Brian Cage. So Cash Wheeler's still there. So obviously Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood are confirmed for the roster, even though they'll go back and forth. Chris Jericho is listed as a roster member. Dalton Castle, Daniel Garcia, Con, Mercedes Martinez, great talent. You got the boys, Toa Leona, and then Wheeler Yuta. But obviously Willow is also involved.
So that's everyone that they have registered to Ring of Honor, and then the other people they're just going to slowly shift across.
Yeah, that's right. And then if you want, and then as well, they've also got. Oh, is that the older talent? That's the older talent. Roster by see the roster by year. This is mental. This is all they've got listed right on their website for the year. AR Fox. They've got a roster of 70.
Jeez,
on a 1 hour time slot. There is one.
Don't run through a roster of 70 folk. We will be here all day.
All I'm gonna say though is Madison Rain being involved, Konosuke Takeshita still involved, which is great.
Yeah.
Jay Lethal's going to be on it. They've got Deonna Purrazzo. Cha-ching! Miranda Alizi, I rate her. I think she's great. Rush is there. Serpentico and Dralistico are involved. The masked wrestlers. Timothy Thatcher.
Serpentico's a waste of space, but okay.
Timothy Thatcher is got more to it, and then obviously from last week as well, you've got Matt Sydal. I'm still surprised that what's his face has managed to keep himself involved in good wrestling, and that's Metallic. I think that guy's done. And I do like what, and then obviously you've got Lady Frost, who's a questionable talent. You know, there's a lot there. There is a lot there.
No, I mean, once again, it sounds like Tony Khan's got another wrestling promotion. 70 people in an hour to fill it. So we're going to have a lot of groups, probably. Have a lot of faction warfare, probably. They'll be sure to give us a death match somewhere, surely.
I don't think Ring of Honor are ever going to go near that. I don't think that's going. I don't think if they do that, that completely goes against Ring of Honor product. Because
I know, but what they did at Revolution went against wrestling product. So, Anyway, I think I need to find something to cheer myself up. So if people want to suggest that in the comments, what match can I watch? Can I find? And even more so, even more impressive, right? What AEW match can I watch? Can I find that will give me some hope again? Because it's all gone after that. At least let me know that wrestling isn't dead, people.
Why not you go and rewatch? Obviously, pause it before he makes his debut. But why not you just go and rewatch Jericho versus Omega from 4 years ago?
It's not a bad suggestion.
The only other thing is just watch any match involves Pentagon Jr. because that guy can't do no wrong.
Well, he did have 2 matches with the Bucks that were, including that cage thing.
But I don't blame him for any of that.
You know, definitely plenty discussed there. Guys, I'm sorry I keep turning up in such a sour mood, but we're almost
I like it.
you know,
I like
it's like,
it. You're the
you
sour
know,
one. I'm the positive one.
exactly. You bring
It's
the
the wrong
positivity, and I bring the truth. So anyway, that will do it for this week's edition of the Steelchair. The road to WrestleMania rolls on as we get closer and closer, and the card's shaping up to be quite a good one. Meanwhile, AEW have lost a viewer for now, so we'll see if they can get me back. Definitely going to step back from it for a while, with one condition being that if John Moxley leaves the company, I will immediately watch again. He had me longing for Orange Cassidy, which, of course, we saw him later in the night, and I was no longer longing for Orange Cassidy. Anyway, Reece, take us home.
The AEW International Champion of the World.
Yeah, of course, because they're rebranding the belt.
Yep.
They can't rebrand the champion, though.
They're finally doing an international version of the title that should have been done a year ago, which we spoke about, funnily enough. So clearly our conversations are being leaked. And also, I just want to say to WrestleOps, PW Wrestling, thanks for the follow, by the way. How do I say that? Thanks for the follow.
You're getting yourself out there. Get yourself over.
They've been added to the list. They're added to the ever-growing list. I mean, Cena, Slaughter, Eric Bischoff, Vince Russo. Like it's all going onto the list. I'm just waiting for Karrion Kross to, instead of just liking my tweets, he hits the follow button.
Yeah, well, let's see if that happens. Only time will tell. Only time will tell if you're able to finish this outro, or if, as ever, I'm gonna have to come and save you.
Well, the outro's coming, but I have to do this first. Next week's show is no wrestling of a sorts. It's no wrestling of discussion. Next week's show is the Ironman Quiz, but there will be a specific time on it. The quiz itself, I'm going to present this to Keen, obviously the owner of the channel. We will not run 2 hours. I
think we can still keep it sub-hour and a half if you've got your S together. I think you'd be able to do it.
I am going to make a case for it to be 1 hour and a half, 90 minutes, or an hour and 45 maximum. It will not go beyond.
90 should be plenty, dude. If you're able to do it, go on.
It should be fine.
It
should be fine.
Test yourself.
I've got the case for it. I mean, 90 minutes to an hour and 45 maximum.
Yeah, well, we'll find out. Anyway.
Good laugh. But that was this week's show. Again, good comments from the live chat. You were all being involved. Thanks to Yeti Boy, Malo, Danny, Billy, Callum, everyone that's in the live chat. Really do appreciate it. It's been a good show. We will be back next week for the quiz. Billy, your ass is going to be on it. Malo, if you want to come on, you're more than welcome. Yeti Boy, more than welcome. I think Sharv might be there as well because he wants to get redemption over his lost point. We need to get William to come back on to defend it. Because that has to happen. We can't crown that potential crowning champion being involved. Ailey will be there, causing carnage, and Abu, you will be. Abu will also be making his Steelchair debut because he will also be on the quiz. We'll see if we can get Darth back on to be 18 points. But other than that, guys, thank you so much. It's been a good show. We will see you next week, and all I'm going to say is, you guys are great.